this computer. Hi, everybody. Welcome to your Wednesday coaching call.
Webinar is now streaming live on YouTube.
Didn't see that one coming. Here we go. Let's go. Didn't see that one coming. Hi, everybody. Welcome to your Wednesday webinar. This is our wide open call. We're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. We've got friends from the past, friends that are current, hopefully friends in the future. So please take advantage. Go visit homeadvocates.io. Our mission is to help 1 million people who've missed payments, and that means listings for you. I mean, that's the bottom line, and that's what they've got to do, especially with the equity that they have. So let's start right there. I am joined by our Chief Operating Officer, Fred Solomon. How are you, Fred?
Good morning, Lee. Good morning.
Good morning. Please click all the information. Please get involved. Please follow us. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. I'm going to pin me. There we go. So let's jump right into this. We are 1 year from the date when everybody said everything would be fantastic, to the point where everybody sort of changed their perspective. How far has that gone? It's gone so far all the way to the National Association of Realtors. And today, we're going to use a Market Watch article with the chief of forecasting for the National Association of Realtors. Her name is Nadia Evangelou. So we're going to do a 3-sided perspective on the 6 things you should know about this market, and hopefully they allow you the opportunity to make a more informed decision of the direction you want to go in your future. We'll do some bonus stuff right after the 6 topics. We're certainly going to talk about pre-foreclosures a little bit before we all end this day. So if you're watching this wherever you are, that's what we're covering. That's what we're doing. Enjoy. So here we go, Fred. The greatest title I've ever heard, Director of Forecasting, even though they have a chief economist. What's the difference between a Director of Forecasting and a chief economist, Fred?
Oh, I want to be serious, but it's really hard to be that way when we already know. I haven't read the article. I already know what it's going to say. I can predict the future. I can predict the future of what the market forecaster is going to predict, and that's probably the more hilarious.
Well, I don't. And this is a really serious question: is the difference between the chief economist Lawrence Yun and Nadia Evangelou the difference of like a 0 in your paycheck? I mean, one is the public face, and trust me, she is better to look at than Lawrence Yun. No disrespect for those that find Lawrence Yun attractive. Nadia is leaps and bounds more attractive, and probably looks a little bit better on stage. And she doesn't look like she mumbles and reads into a piece of paper like she's lost. I think they're getting ready to replace Lawrence. No disrespect to Lawrence Yun. I have followed him for years. I think the man really knows his stuff, and he does a great job of allowing you realtors and those investors that use his information. Does a great job. I mean, I may have criticized him for the way he spins his numbers in the past, but by and large, the man's done his job. But we are at the future, and her name is Nadia Evangelou, and she feels these are the 6 things everybody in real estate should know about to be successful in the current market. So let's get right into it. All right. Where are we? There we go. Wait, I got to move this thing out of the way so I can.
I think this is going to be like Beavis and Butthead versus CNBC.
No, I don't. You know what? If we did that, then I would have to follow CNBC when they called Zillow a bunch of morons, or when they said Wells Fargo was a bunch of criminals and morons. Yet right now, a year later, Wells Fargo looks pretty smart to me. Zillow looks brilliant, but you can give Compass and Redfin a call on that topic. I don't think it's that bad. So the first question that most people, she obviously figured out the 6 questions that have been bombarding, the National Association of Realtors, and she gave her answers. Good for her. 2, Market Watch, which is crazy. The outlook for mortgage rates to rise even further. Mortgage rates for the 30-year fixed loan hit 6% in June, up from a little over 3% a year ago, according to bank rate data. The upward climb will continue, says Evangelou, just not at the same rapid pace. I don't expect to see the same sharp increase that the market expired in March and April. It seems that the mortgage rates have already priced in some of the effects of the upcoming Fed rate hike. Good answer. So we'll start with you, Fred. We already know. I'll give my feelings in a second, but you're a mortgage broker as well. Do you continue to see mortgage rates continue to go up?
That all depends on the data that's about to come out here in the next few weeks, which is the second quarter of GDP, and whether we are officially getting massaged by the Fed and the numbers of the economy. You know, like GDP is the speedometer on your car. It tells you how fast the economy is growing. The first quarter was negative 1.4%. The second quarter, in order for it to be officially a recession by definition, it has to be two negative quarters, but not increasing. So it would have to be two negative quarters of GDP, which means that it can't be better than the previous quarter. So, for example, if we had a first quarter of negative 1.4, the second quarter would have to be negative 1.4 or greater by definition for it to be considered a recession. Now, the thing that irks me, and you and I have been talking about this, is oh my God, who are we? We are two squirrels trying to get a nut. I mean, we are nobody.
That is actually a very fair statement.
Right. We are literally nobody. But one thing I can tell you is that I have been writing articles for many, many years about the market. And I hate to be right, especially when my forecast is negative. I don't want to be right, but the writing is on the wall. And if you have any intelligence at all, and you're able to read English correctly, and you can see the data, there's a reason why we are saying what we're about to say, because it doesn't take much more intelligence than 2 + 2 is 4 to figure this stuff out. And all you got to do is have an open mind, have somewhat of a positive approach to your life and look at what the data says. And if we can get the correct data, that is a key word. And I hate to get political, but there was somebody that used to say fake news a lot. And this may be a time when that term becomes ever so prevalent. And that term may be coming at us with the Fed data, the GDP data. That may be fake news. We don't know, because we are not on the receiving end of all that data. We take the data and we read it, and it may or may not be correct. So hopefully they're giving us the correct data. That's the big hope.
Well, that's the big statement, right? Okay, so my job as the chief economist slash director of future endeavors in the world of real estate and pre-foreclosure, whatever it is, czar of pre-foreclosure. My job is to look at those numbers, and Zillow does disclose that data. And if you look closely, NAR does disclose their data. People just don't want to take the extra effort to look at trends, or maybe they don't, right? Like, the things that should be taught in real estate or investing should be, how do I project value into the future? They should be, how do I read the trends of numbers on sales or days on market so that I can figure out what's going to happen tomorrow? And I know that real estate people feel that this is the most insignificant, non-needed information on the planet. Okay. At least you have the confidence to know what you're telling people is accurate and true. I mean, that's the reality. I will give my feelings on this particular topic. For those that have been following the channel, following me or watching these videos, you know that at the beginning of the year, Fred and I had a bet for a trip around the world for me. And I said that the interest rates would go to 7, to which Fred at that moment said, no way. And that's when I put the bet for Fred to pay for me to go around the world. Um, I keep
That may
upping
be
it.
slightly exaggerated.
It's going to be a private trip to Disney with a private tour person next. All right, Fred, don't worry. I'll keep changing the bet for a Lamborghini. What started off as a harmless prank 6 months ago. I said, of course they're going to go up. They have to go up. I've been saying it for so long. I was due that they had to go up that high. I remember sitting at a RIA event in Pasadena and arguing with someone about this. I said, interest rates have to go up. And that was pre-pandemic. That was a year before the pandemic. Like I was screaming about it. I'm like, it has to go up. It has to, it has to, it has to, it has to. Well, all right. I was finally right, Fred. I mean, and even at 7, it's ridiculous. Everybody here is old enough to remember double digit interest. And now you're talking the Fed rate hike, which I'm getting better at saying fast, and it's tougher than you think. Um, if they don't massage the numbers, right? If they don't massage the numbers and they're honest tomorrow or Friday,
Well,
right?
Friday is the jobs report.
That would do it.
I
I think that's the one that'll kick you over the ledge.
Well, we've been gaining, 400,000 jobs a month, and we're back. We lost 22 million jobs during the pandemic. We've gained 21 million back. The what's happening with the job market is before the pandemic, it was 3.6%, and now we're back down to 3.6%. So we're pretty much, as far as the job market is concerned, right where we were when we started this whole lovely, thing that we got involved with COVID and stuff. So anything from this point forward would be improving from where we were before the pandemic. The problem is that we have supply chain issues. We have Del Taco employees getting paid $18 to $22 an hour. They can't find people to work. It seems as if there's a shortage. There's my dog's barking in the background. And,
It wouldn't be a regular weekly webinar if the dogs weren't barking.
It's the pool guys. They're freaking here right during this. So they are, anyways. So it's a situation where we, these are things that we repeat every day. That we do these coaching calls every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We've been saying the same thing for literally, since they started up foreclosures again and they allowed banks to foreclose on people. That's when all of our talk started happening. And that's when we're reading stuff on Zillow saying that property values are going to go up 11%, and the average realtor sees a market shift. But, last quarter, they weren't talking that way. They were talking that, oh, well, and I mean, I still see stuff on Facebook. I got 30 offers on this property. My buddy that I host my radio show with in LA sometimes, he's Mr. Optimistic, and he, does South Orange County, which is, Orange County. It's a hot market. It's Disneyland. It's where all the rich people are.
It's also Santa Ana, but I mean, it's all relative.
So, I get it. In South Florida, there's still hot markets out there.
Hot, insanely
right.
Hot.
And I get that. But when you have inventory levels increasing, interest rates up 3 percentage points, even though they did drop 1% here in the last, week or so, we were up to 6.25. Now we're at 5.375. So even after the Fed raised short-term interest rates 0.75%, and we're like, oh my God, these rates are going insane. Now they've come back down to 5.375, And your original question is, where do you see rates going?
Okay, so here's a better question. December 31st, what's the final rate December 31st?
Oh my God. Huh. We got supply chain issues and this DEF fluid. I think that's going to be a major issue for the economy. It's going to cause prices to go way up. God, and when prices go up, we have inflation. And when we have inflation, interest rates go up. So, God, what is it going to be? I mean, your 7% number may not be.
It's not high enough. It's not high enough. If I'm betting right now, I would say somewhere between 7 and 8 on December 31st.
Yeah.
It's going to be. It has to be.
Union, Sally just wrote a comment, DEF fluid will also affect trains. Union Pacific is involved with this entire situation with DEF.
Maybe you should explain, because maybe there are people who haven't listened. So, and I'm reintroducing the podcast this week. So, hi, everybody on the podcast. You're finally getting an episode after a couple of months of layoff. So talk about the DEF fluid real quick and why that's going to have such a dramatic effect on the recession even further.
Oh yeah, it's a huge problem. And one of my uncle is was a professional golfer for many years, and one of his playing partners, buddies on his college golf team, his name was Tom Pertzer, very well-known golfer on the these guys have been playing 40 years on the PGA and Champions Tour, but he posted something, and the question was, do you know what DEF fluid is? It's diesel exhaust fluid. Every diesel truck that has been made since 2010 is required to use it. It's a product made of 67% urea fertilizer and 33% distilled water. Every diesel truck you see driving down the road has to have this product to drive. The engines won't start without it. There are regulators inside the engine that mix the DEF with the diesel to reduce diesel emissions. That's the purpose of DEF. Right now, Russia is the largest exporter of urea by a wide margin. Qatar is second. Egypt and China are tied for third. Both Russia and China have decided to no longer export urea. Well, thanks to America and the
America. Say it correctly. America.
On top of that, India is the largest manufacturer of urea in the world, even though they consume most of what they make. What little they would export, they no longer do. They are now stopping the exportation of all urea, minus a deal they just cut with Sri Lanka. What does this mean for us, me and you? Well, first, the United States imports most of its urea fertilizer. We are the third largest importer in the entire world. We depend on other countries to eat, drive, and ship our products. Secondly, Flying J, this is where it gets real. Flying J is the largest service provider for truckers around the United States. I'm sure you've seen the massive gas stations when traveling around the country. Flying J gets 70% of their DEF fluid from shipments via Union Pacific Railroad. All right. Now, UP, Union Pacific, has single user access to the fertilizer plants that urea and DEF fluid comes from. No other rail provider has access to these distribution points. This means Flying J can't just go around Union Pacific. Union Pacific is the boss, the mob boss. All right, that's what I'll call it, for a reason I'm going to mention in a few paragraphs. This is another 45 seconds or so. Flying J provides 30% of all the DEF consumed in the United States. Union Pacific has told Flying J to reduce their shipments by a whopping 50%. If they do not comply, then they will be completely embargoed. That would, in effect, put Flying J in bankruptcy. That means that 15% of all the DEF consumed by truckers in the United States is no longer available at the largest travel service for the entire trucking industry. Rome rotted from the inside out. It was easily invaded because it was occupied with internal problems. It appears we have discovered the trigger, DEF fluid. If this holds up, DEF shortages will be the catalyst that causes food shortages in the coming months. Not only is there a shortage of fertilizer to grow crops in drought-stricken states such as Kansas in wheat production and stuff like that, but now it looks like the federal government intervenes the Defense Production Act, which I am no longer confident they will. There is going to be a massive shortage of trucking in the coming months. There simply isn't going to be enough DEF fluid sufficient to run the engines and keep moving. Home Depot is limiting the amount of DEF you can buy in their stores. I would think long and hard about the decisions you are now making, where you live, where you spend your money, how you prepare. This is real. That the CEO of Flying J, Shamik Kanor, has summoned to a Surface Transportation Board hearing to give them all this info. From what I'm reading, BlackRock is the majority shareholder of Union Pacific
Yes, they
Railroad.
are.
How important is that? It's the America's biggest fertilizer producer.
Everything.
Okay, their largest shareholder is BlackRock. BlackRock controls the fertilizer industry in the United States. Union Pacific has exclusive rights to the distributions of the fertilizer. Urea is fertilizer. Flying J needs urea and DEF. BlackRock is controlling everything.
Just to clarify, are we talking about the same BlackRock that owns 14% of all real estate in the United States? Just thought I'd say it out loud for the room in case anybody was wondering. Maybe there's two BlackRocks, for God's sakes. One that does fertilizer and one that owns, an estimated 14% of all real estate in the United States.
Well, here's the bottom line.
What happens if they take it in the shorts and they need money, Fred? Where would you go find it?
Yeah, from the average American consumer buying gas.
Yeah. Ultimately, I'm to Lori 430's point, right? Food supply shortage. All right, so let's be objective 1 year from today, right? Last summer when it was all wine and roses for everybody in real estate. Refinance guys were literally hard nipple writing contracts like they couldn't even believe it. Forgive me for saying that, but it was true. Every mortgage guy I talked to had a hard on for rewriting and getting a refi at those rates, as they should have. Like it was a gift from the gods of what they offered kind of pandemic wise. That's not this market. We've already given all the money away. We're now making the federal government our backed securities, which crushed us in 2007, but now it's the federal government that is sort of the Credit Suisse of this market. Credit Suisse is a good joke for those that remember the 2007 market, but that's what's happening right now. So let's break it down. You're going to have more food supply chain shortage. You're going to have higher prices on gas. Clearly, they've got to create affordable housing. They've made no mention of 15 million people plus being evicted at this moment. And this is before we get to the other things you guys should know in real estate. This is more like the overview. My final answer on the topic is, Fred, what's the rate on December 31st?
Oh, it could get real ugly. It could.
Double digit?
But, I sure. If that happens, that will crush the real estate market.
But isn't that what they're trying to do? We've been discussing this for the better part of the year, and I'm literally the only one who's saying this. The federal government wants foreclosures. They've wanted them since last summer. They've been talking about you having equity, and you should take advantage of it. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to interview Stephen Thompson about this, but there were 6 different people that were in a state program for Nevada arbitration. They have an arbitration deal to try to negotiate, right? So these people waited it out, wound up going to sale, lost out on over $1 million in equity between these 6 files. He did the homework. And I believe that this is happening more frequently. Okay. This isn't like a one-off. This is like people who are sitting in their places thinking, oh, the government's going to send me a check and I get to stay here. They're not. They're on vacation. I'm pretty sure right now they're on vacation. They're not even doing more, January 6th hearings for right now. They're on vacation. Nothing's going to happen. People are going to start being thrown out here next week. Like it's going to get real fast for renters and homeowners. And I talk about it as an opportunity. Let's move forward and grab these other topics because perhaps they're important, Fred.
Well, I just wanted to finish up two things that are real important that summarize what's going on. BlackRock is spearheading the dismantling of the US system on behalf of the globalists. So the first domino.
Well, if you own 16% of all the real estate in the world, you own all the, like, I'm sure they're probably invested in Monsanto and everybody else. Like, they seem to have their fingers in so many different pies. They're a very well funded group.
So the first domino they're pushing over is the energy sector, and they're using DEF to get the party started. This one sector of the biggest downfalls and political repercussions this country has ever faced. This was written by a gentleman by the name of Jim Duffy. So anyways, this, if true, and I have confirmed this with someone who works in the trucking industry.
Oh no, this is real. This is happening. Like, if you guys look, and everybody's going to say, well, they're going to come up and they're going to, for those of you listening to this or watching the video going, oh, but the government will work it out. Really? Have they gotten baby formula yet? Because as far as I can tell, they still haven't even worked out baby formula. You think they're going to work out a complex chemical? I mean, please. We're in we can't produce baby formula, Fred. Let's say that one together. We can't produce baby formula. That's crazy. And we're expecting some kind of, this is going to happen. I'll keep saying it. Please go watch the Michael Burry video. I will probably add a link in the description. I sent it out to everybody in the coaching group. I'm probably going to even add it to my own personal Lee Honish channel. It's so important to see that this guy said it's an everything bubble. Like, nobody would ever bet against the 10-year treasury. He did. He's already been right. Like, could you even believe that the bond market would do what it's doing right now?
Yeah, it's going crazy. It's such a crazy market that we're dealing with right now. And, we coach real estate students.
Yeah.
So
well, and real estate students would say this. All right, so there's two groups. The groups that really want to know, that are hyper educated. Cool. You're going to really dig all the information we got. The rest of you going, what does this matter? I need to do a TikTok. Okay, what are you going to do a TikTok about? Let's be perfectly honest. We just gave you the first topic, which is interest rates are going to go up this year. I said it. Fred said it. The chief strategist, I love her to death. The chief forecaster for NAR said it. Lawrence Yun has said it. Okay. So why don't you go make a TikTok about the interest rates going up and to give you a call? I mean, if you're going to look at this from a marketing perspective. But the next one is the scary one. And I'm just going to say it because I love watching Fred go off on this topic. Some buyers may want to consider an ARM. Given the current market, Evangelist, I know, Fred, save it. I'm waiting. I'm ready for that energy. Given the current market, Evangelist says some buyers should consider. She's actually recommending taking an ARM. If they plan to sell or refinance in the next 5 years, a 5-1 ARM may make more sense.
Those rates are. I am going to call.
Hold on. Let's get her whole quote. Let's give her a chance. Maybe she's got some brilliance in here that we're unaware of. If you were here yesterday, you will know that this is Fred's burr in his saddle. The 5-1 ARM may make more sense because the rate on these is still below 4.5%. Thus, for a median priced home, the monthly mortgage payment is about $300 lower, the payment for a 30-year mortgage, says Evangelou. All right, Fred, it's all you.
Oh my God. I literally want to go take this lady back. I'm going to grab the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and we're going to go to 2003. June of 2003. That's the time that I'm going to put on the DeLorean, and I'm going to ask her to get a 5/1 interest only ARM. Okay.
Does it have a teaser rate, Fred? All right, that's a funny inside joke for those of us who got it.
Okay. So when we go back to June of 2003, I'm going to drop that girl flat on her butt, kick her out of the car, and say, "Get out." And I'm going to tell her, "All right, it's your job to go refinance your house, but we're coming from the future, so you got to go back 19 years and you got to go find a job and you got to make enough money to qualify for a loan and
be honest, Fred, 2003, she just needed a pulse. Of course, she might have. I think she was only 16 at the time back then. But all right, let's just assume she was the appropriate age.
I mean,
but wait. She only needed a pulse in 2003.
That's kind of true. It was much more lenient back then. But and if they did have stated income type of loans back then, but you couldn't qualify for that stuff with regular conventional stuff. They did have a stated income conventional program, but it only lasted for a little bit. So
yeah, I don't think. Okay, so in my timeline in my mind, because I actually slung HELOCs for a while with teaser rates. Don't hate me. And maybe 2005, 4 or 5 is when it got real funny money. I mean, real funny money. Although when I first got to IndyMac, they had already done no doc. I mean, legit Nina Ninja no doc. Here's $700,000. Go build a house. Kind of crazy. Like that existed.
Those programs back then were ridiculous what you could do. They stopped in 2009 when they, all the banks started imploding.
Yeah, I think the Dodd Act itself kind of, but we're looking at the look. By the way, here's a note for real estate agents. Here's the workaround. Wells, Chase, and B of A only lend direct money. They don't do it to consumers anymore. I mean, I guess they do, but I can't even imagine what kind of tier 1 credit. What do you need, an 880 to qualify for a real Chase loan these days, Fred?
I don't deal with them, so I don't know.
I couldn't even imagine, right? So Wells, Chase, and B of A figured out that if they lent money to Quicken and Apple or whatever the latest online, online web app or loan company, those people make the loans. Then the tier 2 people sell the servicing and the backing to the federal government, who turns around and blindly prints money, enjoy your debt ceiling, and gives it back to those companies. They make their percentage. I'm sure they must make, I can't imagine, Fred, they must make, if you're making 2% at that level or 3% at that level as like, let's say you're Quicken loans and you're doing this, I'm borrowing money from Chase to lend to other people, to sell it back, to get the full price, to pay them back. What could they be making? 3 to 5%, maybe per file? Maybe?
I don't know what those numbers are, but it's not a tremendous amount of money.
But again, you're talking, again, I always say this about volume. If you're making 1 or 2% on every transaction and you're only doing $1 million transactions, guess what? You're killing it. You are.
No, there's good money in the mortgage business. I'm not going to lie. I paid off my house. So there's good money to be made. The point that I want to get to is I took a $350,000 loan and I analyzed what happens if the rates go up 2% and if they were making the minimum interest only payment. And basically, I said, if it goes up 2% when it adjusts in 2008, then my question is, how much is your payment going to go up? And it was $998 and some change. And if you're on a $700,000 loan, which is what most people are at right now, then you can just double it. So call it $2,000. And the question that I asked in 2003, June of 2003, was, if you can't afford an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month now, could you afford it 5 years ago if you couldn't afford it 5 years ago and you can't afford it now, without a gun and a ski mask and walking into the local bank, what, how are you going to afford it 5 years from now? So I said, if they can't afford it now, 5 years ago, or in 5 years, what's going to happen? Well, I predicted foreclosures. Not only did I predict them, I underestimated them because completely. I did not take into account that the economy would lose so many jobs. So we had job loss. And then on top of that, we had people's payments going up. And then, so the question was, well, if prices of real estate come down because of foreclosures and you can't refinance because you don't have equity and you're upside down, what are you going to have? Oh, just the biggest, tragedy in real estate since, I don't know, the Great Depression, maybe, that's all that we dealt with. That, no big deal. So why don't we?
But Fred, you're just mongering fear. I can hear it. No. We have one of the largest rooms ever. We've got people watching us on YouTube and Facebook. And you know what? We're just scaring people, Fred.
Give her. Let's get in the Back to the Future time machine. Let's go back to 2003. Hopefully the girl doesn't lose her job. And let's go to then we'll flash forward to 2008. And then we'll drop her off in 2008. And then we'll look at her and see how she's doing with her mortgage and her finances. And my attitude is, F you for saying that, because that's the worst advice that I could ever give to a client. And I'll put that on my tombstone when I die. This really bothers me.
It should.
Really bad.
There are signs that the market is cooling, Fred. Both rising mortgage rates and home prices hurt affordability for many buyers. As a result, existing home sales have dropped for the last 4 months, 5 technically. I expect a larger reduction of home sales activity in the following months, especially after the summer months, says Evangelou. All right, so let's discuss this. This is clearly not Chief Economist Lawrence Yune's position. This is not the position of a lot of people. And according to Zillow in December, this is not their position either. So going to this topic, I will give my opinion first because this is my sweet spot. Yeah. I've said since 1 year ago today that we were going to cool off this next year. In December, I made a very bold prediction that we would lose 10 to 20% of overall value to real estate in the United States, that the market would increase in share with the number of properties available on the market, and days on market would go up, excluding South Florida, which I still haven't figured out. Like, that's the anomaly in my universe. The first market that has actually shown signs of it are New York. The second that is now currently showing signs of it is San Francisco. Places like Boise, Idaho. We're starting to see a stall across the board. I believe Phoenix will be one of the next big ones to get hit as well. Fred, what are your feelings on the market cooling off?
It's already cooled off. There are some areas that are cooling off faster than others, and there are some areas that are still holding pretty strong. So, it's the old adage, how does your house compare to the other properties that are for sale in your neighborhood, and how is it priced? And based on that, you're going to still be able to sell a house today. So you just got to, if the markets are cooling off, everybody knows this, the market is shifting. Okay, everybody knows this, but now we're saying that prices are going to drop. Okay, and the Fed wants to do a reset. Okay, so what's the definition of a Fed reset, right?
I don't know, but this is how conspiracies are built, by the way, if anybody's following along at home. The Great Reset, the $1, the one monetary unit, the reset of FICOs. This is how they all start, Fred. I can understand. Like, let's say that I'm somebody with a 500 FICO who's living in a place getting ready to be evicted. I want to believe the government's going to reset my credit to a 660. that nothing will show up on my credit, and that when I get thrown out of my place, right, I'll just be able to go and move right on. That's what people are dreaming of. 15 million people, where it's 5% are facing some form of displacement here. I mean, this, how does anybody think that the market's continuing to appreciate? I just can't see it. I mean, yes, real estate is individual to the market, and I hate that statement. That's not the way it's dictated in the news. Diana Olick isn't going, well, in South Florida, they're killing it while the rest of the country is taking it in the shorts. That is not what she says. She gives a general view with general numbers. Lawrence Yun, general view, general numbers. Nadia, general view, general numbers. Lee Honish, I mean, I got to be perfectly honest. I could do individual markets and tell you probably my personal projection for each market, but that's because I have agents in those markets I shoot videos with every single week. So I can hear that, yes, we're still going at top dollar, but we don't have 30 offers. We now have 5 offers. Okay, that's a trigger warning to me. Okay, that's like one of those, nerdy kind of, hack angles that you've got to look at. Like, you've got to see the progression of the whole country. And again, for those of you who think, I just need to know how to make a TikTok, dude, when are you going to talk about TikTok? What are you going to make content about that would be compelling in a recession where the Fed raised the rate, where we have immense gun violence, where everything seems to be crazy, and all people keep talking about is that crime is on the rise, people feel on edge? Like, how are you going to talk somebody into selling their house? It seems logical to me, if you've got 3 or 4 million people coming online who are going to be in the pre-foreclosure phase here, 2 million before the end of the year, 2 million. There aren't 2 million expireds. I mean, just logically from a marketing standpoint, it's the direction to go. Let's try to get through the rest of these and try to be.
I got a couple things that you said that were so important about prices.
Yeah, go for it.
And I just want to discuss this real quick. So what determines prices is population growth, inventory, sales volume, days on the market, GDP, unemployment rates, more people moving into the area than moving out of the area. Those are the things that keep prices increasing or decreasing. So if we looked at all of those things that I just said, population growth, what's going on with GDP? Of course, we all know what's going on with inflation. Unemployment is strong. More people moving into the area than moving out of the area. Inventory is on the increase, but still well below regular normal 4 to 6 month inventory levels. Sales volume, NAR says it was up 0.6%, but
it was.
Before that, it was down 25%. And then days on the market here in Southern California have doubled and tripled in many Southern California areas with 1.3 month of inventory, which is far below the normal 4 to 6 months of inventory. So if we get normal inventory levels again, just keeping things the same right now, we are going to see a lot more price drops.
And quickly, especially for people. Look, again, my question is always the investors who are the ones that are actually working pre-foreclosure. I can't get enough people working pre-foreclosure and actually giving good education. Shout out to Don Mosick. I haven't talked to you yet, but the amount of, everybody says, how do you predict a bad market? And this is a truism. You look for fraud. The current fraud that's occurring is with investors and pre-foreclosure people and taking advantage of them right now. It's not loan fraud, which is kind of what it was in 2007. Sorry, Fred, but your brethren were not all that cool about their no doc, low doc, let's put a loan together kind of group. This crowd seems to be about investors working elderly and reverse hams, and like there's a lot of really negative stuff happening in the market under the water. that nobody's talking about. And that really bothers me. Fraud is the number one indicator that a market's churning from my perspective, right? So in 2006 and 7, I knew about bad loans. Within IndyMac, I am telling you, within IndyMac, I have sat in meetings as an asset manager calling out high-end, high-producing loan officers who were doing very shady things, and they were blowing it off. Okay, my job is to retain the asset and retain the money, but what I saw in 2006 was shocking, shocking, shocking. Especially with the warehouse guys. It just wasn't cool across the board. Let's try to get the rest of these in. Institutional buyers may increase competition for first-time buyers. Is she late? Does she have a different definition about institutional buyers than I do, Fred, perhaps? But I think she's a little late. For institutional buyers, this translates to large profits. However, a large market presence of institutional buyers increases the market competition for first-time home buyers. Where are they? You raised their rate. They all left. Is this like from like a no? No, this is July 5th. I wanted to give her credit that she actually did this like 6 months ago or something. The institutional training has actually, here's how out of touch she actually is. Institutional people have already come in and institutional people are already leaving. They're already getting out of the market. The reason we're starting to see the reduction is because the institutional people are, they're done. They're done. And if you're wondering definition for institutional, let's go with an easy one. Zillow. What's your opinion on institutional buyers may increase competition, Fred, even though it's over?
Redfin is still buying. Their iOffers is still buying. There's a few.
I think EXPs is still buying as well. And I even think that the one that we use out of Vegas, and I don't give out our person, but I think our person is still buying. I just think that they're more selective now.
I think they're offering lower prices because they see the writing on the wall. So, when you insult a homeowner with a lower offer price, they may or may not bite unless they're in a desperate situation, because we all see the ads and the ads say, want a cash offer for your home? Give us a call, that kind of stuff. They do it in the automobile business. They do it in the home purchase business, cash offers for your home, whatever it is. So the institutional investors are causing the low end market a lot of trouble, and it's very competitive to get your offers accepted in the low end market. And it's with higher interest rates, it's knocked a lot of the low end buyers, the first time buyers, out of the market because they can no longer afford the payment. So the institutional people are still, buying these homes for cash, getting their 6 to 8% cash on cash return for their, Wall Street investors. And the goal is a long-term hold.
It has to be. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. If I was a hedge fund, somebody said, Lee, we want you to be the Michael Burry of our hedge fund. Okay, cool. At the end of the day, 3% on real estate is still killing it, in my opinion. Honestly, if you're positive net and you can still make a positive cash flow, you're winning. And I think I've had this talk with Steve Love, who is a part of our group. For those that don't know, please investigate Steve Love's RIA. If you have any questions, go to homeadvocates.io, send us a note. I talk to Steve about this all the time. Investors, I believe this about CEOs as well. Institutional investors are the same way. Like, we need home runs on every deal. No, you don't. You need positive cash flow. I believe that's why Zillow got out. I think Zillow could have rode this at least another 6 to 9 months. Easily. Yeah. They could have rode 6 to 9 months more.
They got out a little early.
They got out a lot early. So did Wells. I mean, for that matter. I mean, Wells
Yeah.
was coming off kind of a criminal investigation about double drafting fees. But
Yeah.
when they made their change during the summer, it was obvious to me last year. They're like, no, we've seen the data. We know where this is going. They jumped off really early. I mean, really, really early. And I've even seen it a little bit earlier than that. There's a couple people that I really respect that run hedge funds that were already dropping real estate even about 6 months prior to that. And I thought, man, that's aggressive. I mean, you kind of can see, I talk about it. My favorite ride at Magic Mountain is called Goliath, right? It used to be the tallest, fastest, steep. When you get to the top, you know you're getting to the top. Like, it's not like you immediately go over the falls and start dropping. Like, you can't stop it, like Bitcoin that happened for so many people, or those of you in any real estate company that is allowing you a stock option. Like, you can lose today hundreds of points before you can even bat your eye. The real estate market is totally different in that you can kind of see where it's going, you can project where it's going, and then you can see it on the other side. I mean, that's kind of what I based my entire career on, is looking at that projection of what are the triggers, where will it go, what is it based on my experience, what do I think, what do I know? And I say this to everybody. It's what do you think, what do you know? Okay? Everything Fred and I have told you right now, these aren't things we think. These are things you can Google and you should know.
That's the whole point of this, is to read the data. Hopefully the data that they're giving you is good data. And I'll just tell you a quick little story. When I was in geometry class, my golf coach on my high school golf team was my geometry teacher. And, you know, I wanted to get a better grade on the final, you know, whatever, you know, your final exam or whatever they do. So they put an extra credit assignment up on the board, and no one could get the extra credit assignment. And I was literally up all night trying to get the correct answer, but no one could get the correct answer. And we all came back, and there was some really smart people in this class, and we all came back and said we couldn't figure out the answer. And the teacher, God bless him, he's passed away, but really good guy, Coach Kratzel, I remember him. And he said, he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I wrote the wrong formula on the board. No wonder why no one got the right answer." So if you don't have the correct information up front, there's no way to figure out the correct answer. And I still remember that. That was in 11th grade to this day, because it was so frustrating. I couldn't get the right answer. And that's what I think's happening right now. I don't think they're giving us the correct information. I think that they're massaging it. And unfortunately, they're doing it to cause the real estate market not to go into a crazy spiral downward spiral.
All right. With that said, Fred, wait, I'm going to counter that. What did the Fed say when it comes to this overall topic?
Reset.
That's right. So it doesn't matter what we actually think. I mean, that's the reality.
That's what they're going to do.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I said this to everybody. If you didn't read the press briefing on Biden's campaign promise of making affordable housing, you show me where it talks about bailing people out or making it so that people can stay in their houses. I'm going to say it again. There's no 40-year loan mods. There's no deals. The banks aren't making deals. Nobody's doing deals. Like, if you got equity, get your equity and go live with your mom. Wow, that's a throwback to 2007 Lee Honish. I used to say it all the time. Sometimes you got to go live with your mom. It happens. It's no disrespect. It's what your mom's for. As a dad, I could safely say this. If my daughter showed up in her 50s going, I need a place, totally get it. Okay? It like, in my mind, that's a possibility, right? She could be laid off. Something bad could happen to her. She could lose her house. It's my job to say, sure, what do you need, kid? Right? Like that's, but people don't see it that way. They see it as failure. There's something very weird about this whole failure code that is scaring the crap out of people, Fred.
Lee,
This is different than 2007. Like everybody just sort of danced into the fan blade in 2007, giggling that everything is cool. This one's weird. This one feels different. This one feels more charged, like they remember 2007. It's like a flinch mechanism.
they're trying to control the market. That's the bottom line. They're
As they should. Holy crap.
The way they started that party was when they stopped buying treasuries and then they let the market go. They just like, all right, we're going to stop buying treasuries. We're going to stop taking money from our left pocket and putting it into our right pocket to artificially keep these rates low. We're going to let the rates go where they go. Oh, my Lord. That's the same thing they did with gas prices. And that's why Tesla is a great stock to buy, because now with this DEF fluid, Tesla's building these 18-wheelers. And
gas prices will be $10 before the end of the year. Just watch, everybody. You better invest in Tesla. I don't disagree. I completely agree with you. And we're now getting caught up in the semantics of, is this conspiracy or is this actual? Everyone is trying to control everything instead of just letting. I said this in 2010. This is too fast. We started the arc out of one of the most epic real estate crashes within 3 years. That's 2 years quicker than the normal turn. And by doing that, Obama made it available. Basically, it got rid of the foreclosure market, basically, because they just changed the dynamics of allowing investors to buy directly from the banks with this promise of you got to hold the property for 5 years. BlackRock's entire. I remember calling my dad going, nobody would buy into this. And he goes, of course they would. They've done it for every single market turn. There's always somebody out of Texas. There's always somebody out of Arkansas. There's always somebody buying somewhere. So it's the reality.
So how can we take all of this information, Lee, and use it to help realtors when they talk with sellers?
Okay, hold on. Let's do the last two real quick, and then we'll wrap it up with that. With that said, for those of you that are on the call live, there is a link for the July 4th discount rate. You'll want to take advantage of it. I'm going to do the brand new webinar, and I'm going to project this out to all the real estate agents that are obviously looking for listings right now. The traffic on our website is unreal at the moment. So please take advantage. There you go with that. Also, everybody who's scheduled, I've got all that out of the way for your red calls. If you're interested, I still have 1 or 2 spots open who want to do half a year for red videos. If that's the case, send me an email at lee@honish.io. We're going to do these 2, and then we're going to talk about how to use these for marketing, and we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody on Facebook and YouTube, and I'm just going to, I don't know where I'll kill it. It's just kind of weird doing a video like this. Home prices will continue to rise, but at a slower pace. She believes, Fred, her quote, due to a housing shortage, home prices won't drop until 2022. Remember that when there is a housing shortage, home prices don't fall. In fact, home prices rose 15% in May.
What's her name again?
Evangelou. What is it? Let me give her full name. Nadia Evangelou, and she looks.
Okay, and this is the same girl that said get a 5-1 arm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna the title to this event or this coaching call should be Fred Solomon says F you to Nadia. That's how I feel.
I can't wait. This is the kickoff podcast. We haven't done an actual podcast in like 3 months. You're killing it, Fred. Like this woman has set you off.
I want to email it to her and tell her to listen and get some freaking real information inside of her brain. Because do you
feel like Lawrence Yun is sitting in an office somewhere reading her comments going, oh my God, I can't believe what she said.
She is clueless. And I will literally tell that straight to her face. I would say the same thing to Donald Trump. I would say the same thing to anybody who talks out of their rear end. That's how I feel about this girl. This girl is freaking clueless.
The last one, inventory is rising. She got this one right, Fred. There are about 20,000, there are more than 20,000 homes now. Jeez. And this was written on July 5th. God help us. There are about 20,000 more homes available for sale for buyers. Oh, earning 200,000. While it's promising, earning 200,000, that's not the American people. While it's promising to see more homes available in the market, more entry level homes are needed. Okay, here's why I got mad when I read this one. How do you create more homes? I mean, what magical spell? I mean, is this like a full WandaVision moment where you're just going to materialize more houses, sort of in the, multiverse of madness? Like, for those of you who don't know, and I'm going to say this, more information, new home builders have gotten out of the market. They're laying people off as well. They're buttoning down, batten down the hat. They're battening down the hatches, Fred. This is crazy. Like, this is somehow like, all right, go ahead, Fred. You can go off on her now.
I think I did my part. I don't want to blast her anymore, but I swear to you, Lee, it is so frustrating that people in power.
I would tag it. I would honestly, if I didn't think it was detrimental to you, I would do this all up, reload it, tag her, tag them, tag Lawrence.
Do it, because I don't care. That's why I did my radio show. I really don't care if they are blowing smoke at you. I really don't care, because I swear to you that everything that I do is, and anybody who's been following me, anybody who's my 17,000 clients, they all know that I speak from a place of passion and intelligence. And I read this information, and before I come blurting out of my mouth with anything, I have done enough and understood the market enough to be able to say something somewhat intelligently. And when someone who's not in the business, who's listening to this, lobbyist or that lobbyist or whatever they're listening to, and they're letting what's happening with BlackRock in this economy, because we want a global green economy. God, I think it's great that we're doing all that, but while we're doing it, we're destroying companies and people. And that is not right. It's got to be slow, a slow destroying. You can't just all of a sudden cut off DEF fluid and make these companies go bankrupt and cause people to, have to do all. And oh my God, it's nuts. And I didn't know I was going to get like all bent out of shape today. Because I'm usually pretty level-headed person, but F you to this girl. That's all I got to say.
Hi, everybody. Click on the links. If you are interested in joining Home Advocates and you're here live on the call, you should use the link that I just gave you. If not, if you're listening to this or rewatching this on whatever channel or platform, go to homeadvocates.io, click on Home Advocates Coaching. Please take advantage of that pricing. It's a one-time fee. You get to be in the Platinum group. We are going to be changing that out. I don't know if I'll get to it tonight. Probably tomorrow night will be our first webinar to the general public with the new pricing structure and the changes to the system that I'm comfortable with, I guess, more or less. And that covers that. All my red people are covered. If you are interested in shooting video with me, it's $100 a week. I do have a couple of slots open to go towards the end of the year, if that's true. Type in lee@honish.io. That's my personal email address. Send me an email. Tell me you're interested. And with all of that said, if you have any interest or need a loan or need assistance here in California, Fred, give out your information.
I'll type it in. It's 714-403-7334, 714-403-7334. But I want to make this very clear. Every ounce of passion that I have, and I, tell someone to F off, that's not my normal personality, but I want people to understand that you can use this information to your benefit.
Yeah.
So I want people to know that anybody who has a second home or an investment property, who even has the inkling of thinking about selling, now is the time to target second homes and investment properties.
Any one of these topics should be enough to trigger people. Like any one of these topics are pretty real. In fact, hold on, let's clear this out. Thank you everybody for watching the 6 things, or AKA Fred says F you to the National Association of Realtors, which I personally like that title a little bit better. With all of that said, please take advantage of it. Please click on the links. We look forward to having you on next week's call.